Hey guys, project-zodiac here. I'm back with another video. This is part 2 of 3 of the genius of Boruto, and in this one we will be talking about the controversial Boruto anime. So that's gonna be interesting for a lot of people, especially because we're gonna be talking about how it's kind of a genius anime. So again, this is part 2 of a 3-part essay. If you have not seen part 1, I do suggest you do, but it's not required to enjoy this part. So this essay will have spoilers for the Boruto series, but if you don't care, then just stick around. So as many of you know, Boruto is the sequel series to Naruto. Both are created by Masashi Kishimoto, and while he is not fully writing and drawing the Boruto manga, he is still extremely involved in the Boruto series as a whole. In part 1 and 3 of this essay series, I do talk a little bit more about what he does, but we'll be touching a lot more on that during part 3. With all that said, in part 2, we will be talking about, like I said, this controversial anime and how it's a genius show. And yes, I am actually very serious about that. You see, Naruto was kind of a dark and a bit of a violent story, and many people expected Boruto to be similar to that. And for the most part, it kind of is. Well, again, almost. It's close to those dark points of Naruto, but only in the manga. For the most part, has been also getting darker like Naruto was. The Boruto anime, on the other hand, as of episode 160, has been more of a slice of life show set in the Naruto universe, or at least that's how it seems. And it is getting darker um, because it is beginning to adapt the manga more. So, you see, what the manga is doing is showing us only the highlights of the main plot points of the story. So literally it's skipping everything that's not 1000% important to the main plot and story. So that means there is no focus on side characters, on learning new abilities, or other important factors of the overall story. The manga is literally only focusing on Boruto, Kawaki, Kara, Karma, the Otsutsuki, and Ishiki, and that's it. Like I said, it's very fast paced, and it's a monthly manga that's showing literally the highlights of the main plot points. I really have to say that because it's very important. And again, I mean the highlights. There are a lot of reasons for this. So again, I do suggest looking at part 1 where I explain it a little bit, but I go into a lot more details of this whole format in part 3. The anime, however, is focusing literally on everything. All of the side characters, all of the missions, all of the trainings, all of the things that even the manga mentions or calls back to, but is never shown in the manga. And while the series is set during peacetime as of episode 160 and chapter 48 of the Boruto manga, especially the anime is set during peacetime, many people complain about it since it's so different from Naruto, but both the manga and anime show us that peace will be disrupted. The manga has been showing us this a lot more, but again, that's due to its fast-paced nature. The anime has been taking its time, and that's why for most people, it seems like it's a slice of life anime because in a way it kind of is, but really, is that a bad thing? We know for a fact it's not going to be like that for the whole series. I mean, just look at how the series opens in both the manga and anime. So, why not see the world of Naruto how it would be in a peaceful era, especially after we just saw it during wartime? Because really, most of the entire Naruto series was set during wartime. Like, really, do people really want the same thing again and right away? Honestly, if it started right away with the wartime in the Boruto timeline, people would be saying it's just a clone of Naruto. I mean, people already complain that Boruto himself is a copy of Naruto. I'd rather see how things look while it's peaceful and then build up to that whole destruction and violence. And that's one of the things that the show is doing so well. It really starts out peaceful, like extremely peaceful. But as the episodes go on, things do begin to get slightly darker and darker, and they will eventually get dark, like really dark. This progression is something natural. It's not instant, it's slow, it's interesting, it's realistic. It gives us time to breathe, especially after that war arc of Naruto. And just living in the village, hanging out with Boruto, his friends, seeing how the old generation is doing, and seeing how many things have changed, and also not just things, but the villages in general, how they have changed, and how everyone interacts. It's really, like building up the world. It's introducing us to this whole peaceful world. And that's one of the geniuses of it. It shows us how things were peaceful and then became dark over time. Not only that, but they're also actually developing the Naruto universe in the Boruto anime because of this progression after war. They need to have a peaceful era, so they need to show us how things look. And not only are they developing the whole Naruto universe in Boruto, but they're also developing Boruto himself in the anime and all the other characters. And this is probably one of the biggest things about the anime that makes it really, really good. Like I said in part 1 of this video essay series, the manga doesn't show all of Boruto's development or any of the other characters' development. In fact, the only real big development and change in his character happens in the first manga arc, which is the Chunin exam arc, where there we see Boruto go from a brat, blaming Naruto for many things, to not being a brat, and him and Naruto fixing their problems and being close again for the rest of the manga arcs that followed. But there's still something missing here. What we saw in the manga was just Boruto understanding why his dad is the Hokage, and that really wouldn't make Boruto understand his dad as a person and the way that he is, since they never really talked. Yet in the manga arcs that comes after the first arc, it shows he does understand Naruto as a person, but again, we never see that development. But in the anime, we see it all. We see for how long he has sort of resented his dad, which was basically since he was 5 years old. We see him just ignoring things related to his dad. We then get the Chunin exams where he does understand why his dad is the Hokage and does forgive him, and the two do fix things. What the anime does is it further develops his relationship with his dad. So you see, that's where the anime really solves this missing thing from the manga. We really see Boruto and Naruto spend time together. We see Naruto's point of view and how he doesn't know what to do, and then we also see them getting closer. We see Boruto does now understand why Naruto is Hokage, but he still doesn't really understand Naruto. So he's still a little bratty in regards to Naruto. But many arcs after the Chunin exams and right before the Mujina Bandits arc, which is the second manga arc, we had an arc which was the time travel arc in the anime. In it, Boruto and Sasuke go to the past to when Naruto was 13 and he's getting ready to go with Jiraiya to train so that he could one day bring back Sasuke, who had just recently left the village. In this arc, Boruto and Naruto do spend a lot of time together as Boruto has to secretly protect Naruto from Urashiki, who was just sent to the past as well to kill a weaker version of Naruto. And because they spend a lot of time together, the two really do bond. Naruto didn't know Boruto was his future son, so for him, he was just having company. But for Boruto, he was spending time with his dad and really got to understand how Naruto was really lonely even though he had friends. He understood how Naruto didn't always have home-cooked meals, why he loves ramen so much. He understood why Naruto wanted to be Hokage, how he himself was a bit bratty and loud and, well, he basically didn't change at all, even as a 32-year-old. And most importantly, the huge heart he has, and the great power he has, and how the fox in him, even though it was his great power and still is, it still caused him a lot of pain growing up. So all of this was a shock for Boruto, and while he did know a few of these things, he didn't know everything, and to actually spend time with his dad for a few days and really live out what his dad lived really made Boruto understand Naruto the way he is, his dreams, and how he struggled. So when he does go back to the future at the end of the arc, that's when Boruto begins to praise Naruto. He becomes super close to him and trusting him again. And that's what the manga was missing, the second development in their relationship. But that's not the only development we see in the anime. in regards to Boruto or anyone else in general. It's in regards to literally everything. In the anime, we basically get to see Boruto's entire life. We get to see him being a brat who doesn't understand anything about his dad and what it means to be Hokage, or even why it's important to be a ninja and the values that come with it, and what it even means to sacrifice things and how different the entire world is from what he knows. He goes from all of that to someone who does understand what it means to be Hokage, to how different people are compared to him, to how the world is still dark, especially in small places, and the struggles of being one's own self, the struggles of the world and corruption, the pain of loss, and who his dad really is, and all the things he went through. And he also learns what it actually does mean to sacrifice things and achieve things by chasing after your dream and working hard, and basically what a human life means, and also what it means to be a true ninja, and even calling himself the last shinobi in the future. Heck, we even see him in all of the anime arcs slowly begin to build his own philosophy and ideology on many things. Some good examples of this would be during the Mitsuki arc and that Jugo arc. This philosophy has been molding Boruto to be that last shinobi we see at the very start of the whole series. And again, the whole anime is showing us all of this. And yeah, some people might not like how it's being done, but it's still fantastic that the show is fully showing us Boruto's life and how he matures in each arc and how he grows in each arc. And he even does become a lot less bratty, even though he's already passed the tuning exams arc and the time skip arc. Or, sorry, not time skip, but the time travel arc. And I know a lot of people think that the character development in the anime and the traits of all of the characters are sort of all over the place, with Boruto especially. But seriously, guys, like, even a prodigy and genius is not going to be thinking smart all the time in the real world. People just do stupid things sometimes, even if they are super smart. So it's understandable why sometimes he's not being super smart in some situations. The show is not only showing us his development, but like I said, all of his classmates and friends. But it's also expanding on so many things, especially when it adapts the manga arcs, and it really shows us everything the manga references, and in many times it improves on the things that the manga did. That's one of the greatest things about the anime, and is also one of the factors that really makes the anime genius in the way that it's being laid out. It gives a full understanding of his character and how he came to this world having literally everything: a loving family, friends, clean clothes, an easy way out of things, amazing skills, and being unscarred. And also, to some extent, good money and, some fame, mostly just because his dad is the Hokage, but still. And he ends up being someone who loses everything, his family in some ways, including his adoptive brother, and his friends, and his village, and his, clean, undamaged clothes. He loses that too because it gets all battered and torn. Even his scarlet skin he loses because we see right away that he's got a big scar in his eye like Kakashi. And also probably his own teacher, and maybe even his own world, for the most part. See, this full story has been so well established in the anime with so many hints of what might happen and will happen in the future, that it's so well paced for the most part in how they're actually showing everything that's happening. As of episode 160 of the anime, Boruto really has grown a lot. He has matured a lot and is beginning to see things and how he could lose things and the true state of the world, even if it's little by little. With all of that said, that's why the format that the anime is using is genius. It has a clear point in where it's going, and it's been showing us everything that happens. It's also a really refreshing thing to be able to just change the flow a little bit from the darkness of Naruto and seeing just things different before they become dark again, into the levels that Naruto was. Because as I said before, we know things are going to be dark again in the show and in the Boruto series in general. We just don't know if the ending itself is going to be peaceful or not, but we do know that for a big part of the story, it will be dark. Even if for some reason it's not going to be as dark as Naruto was, it doesn't change the fact that it's still dark. But does it even have to be dark like Naruto was to be good? No, it doesn't. The darkness of Naruto is not what made it so good, it was the characters. And honestly, I love the characters in Boruto too. No, not all of them match the characters in Naruto, but a lot do, and they are really good. And they are doing things differently with Boruto, especially the anime, and that's what makes it smart and unique. So all of the hate the show gets, for the most part, is not really okay. I can understand not liking it due to it feeling so different for now, but that was the intention. It was to make it different before going back to what came before it. And I can also understand just not liking some characters or arcs, but every show has things that people don't like. But unfortunately, many Western fans trash the Boruto anime like crazy, and that hate here with Boruto, especially the anime, has been so big that it's hard to make anything praising the show or even the series without people attacking you. But that's a topic for another day. So I'll be making a video sort of defending the Boruto anime at some point. But again, that's not this video. With all that said, the Boruto anime has been making a really solid and grand foundation for what's to come in the story. And that's the other genius thing about it. It knows exactly what will be happening for the most part and gives us so many hints of things that the manga has not even basically hinted at or shown. But that'll be a topic for part 3 of this essay. So in short, the Boruto anime is genius, basically just due to the way that it's been structured and how it's handling many things and expanding on the manga arcs. But that's not the only things. There's just so many things that make this show genius. Another example is like how in the manga, it includes real-world mythology, lore, legends, and thoughts, and it also follows the format of show don't tell, for the most part. Maybe not as much as the manga, but it still follows that format, which you can find out more about in part 1 of this whole essay, where I do talk a little bit more about. Also, Kishimoto is pretty involved in the anime department, as well as Kodachi, who writes the manga. So they're really on top of things, but more of that will be talked about in part 3. With all of that said, I do hope this essay sort of gives you an insight on what makes the Boruto anime genius, and just go into it with an open mind, especially after watching Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. And know that things will be the way that they were, but until then, just sit and enjoy the Naruto universe in Boruto and enjoy hanging out with the characters and watching Boruto's full evolvement. I know it's not every episode that's fantastic, and some arcs are just okay, especially compared to Naruto, but the show is still entertaining and it still does so much well for the most part. Again, I hope this essay sort of helps you see a different side of the anime. In part 3, we'll really talk a lot about the Boruto series as a whole and basically its development. But, you know, with all of that said, I just hope that you can sort of see how both the manga and the anime are just a little bit more complex in showing the genius of everything. I'm pretty sure you will with part 3 of the essay, where I definitely just mix everything together and go into a lot more details about so many other things. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.